Just going to do a short live today and deal with Thomas Schoenberger and this whole child trafficking thing. Just like I said in the title, don't lie to yourselves. This child trafficking BS is not being investigated. They're too busy trying to protect it. So why would you think they're protecting it and investigating it all at the same time? Thomas. Isaac Cappy has been dead for 5+ years. Do you know who I know is not connected to that satanic neo-Nazi pedophile ring that 14-year-old in Florida just got busted being involved with, getting ready to shoot up a church and having child pornography? Guess who's not involved with it? The dead Isaac Cappy. Not involved. You know? Again, Titus Frost can talk about all the bullshit he wants because Thomas Schoenberger just sent me a link with Titus Frost bullshit. Until they start dealing with Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, and all the bullshit they're involved with, they're liars and they're fake. Lucian Greaves, Doug Masenko, has an entire history of attacking and shutting down survivors of ritual abuse. And yet not one of them seems to know who they are. They're all involved with this child trafficking, but they don't know who he is. And they rarely ever mention Michael Aquino. Whoever Titus Frost was working with at that rally years ago in DC, that Wolf dude is directly connected to Michael Aquino. The very people that you've all been led around by the nose with all this child trafficking, most of them are involved with the child trafficking. They're leading you down wherever way they can. And Thomas, why the fuck would I ask you anything? You're a liar. I think you're a liar. I think you're the head of this snake. Nothing's changed. You act like you're sociopathic, bipolar when it comes to me. First of all, you're not my daddy. You know, I'm not looking for validation from you. And you being hard on me, saying in those emails, oh, I was hard on you. Dude, you were trying to attack me and close me down, so I stopped talking about child trafficking. That's what was going on. It wasn't that you were calling me out. It was that you were trying to shut me down, just like you are now. You know, I'm not going to ask you shit. I couldn't believe anything that comes out of your mouth anyway. Anyone who does is an idiot. You know what I'm saying? But this child trafficking stuff is not getting investigated. They got rid of the team. That Doge group got rid of the team that investigates child trafficking. They're all gone. They were all laid off. That was part of the government that MAGA wanted, I guess, to be let go. We don't need people investigating child trafficking. Fuck that. Fuck the kids. We need $200 billion for a war in Iraq, though, so they can distract from the Epstein files. And people walk around with just blinders, just thinking, oh, you know, oh. And so this child trafficking thing is not being investigated. And the very people, you want to know who I know is not involved, and there's not 26 people in here. They just don't like what I'm saying, so they're botting my station again. That's what they do. These fucking child killers don't like the fact that I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to shut up. And I'm just pointing out the obvious. Anybody who has any amount of critical reasoning skills can figure out that what I'm saying is just the obvious. Is just the obvious. You know, Thomas Schoenberger is on record saying that Corey Daniel isn't involved with child trafficking. Nona Sewertown is involved with child trafficking. He says Tara Joyce isn't involved with child trafficking. And they constantly are trying to put fucking words in my mouth. I never have called Corey Daniel Goatface. Never. The whole thing with Tara Joyce, I never said she had child porn on her phone. But they keep trying to put words in my mouth. You know? And why? Because they're just trying to bamboozle everybody. And why? Because it's easy for them to bamboozle people. Hey, Susan. It's easy for them to bamboozle people. But Thomas is involved with all of this. Titus Frost is involved with all of this. Lucian Greaves, Doug Masenko, Satanic Temple, all involved. And it's not Church of Satan. Thomas, who's involved with everything, who knows everything, has never gotten the name right. Never. And he does it on purpose. He does it on purpose. Because they're involved with Michael Aquino's group. Whether Michael Aquino is dead or not is beside the point. I personally don't think he's dead. But again, everyone I'm calling out are people who worked under or for Michael Aquino. That includes Doug. And this child trafficking thing is not being investigated. By who? Who's investigating it? You know? What have they come up with? The only reason why they found that 14-year-old who was involved with the satanic neo-Nazi pedophile group is because he bragged to his friends and they reported it to the police. The only reason why they found out, dude, who are you? You're an anonymous. Alien cowboy farmer says, I'm investigating it. Really? You know, you have a lot of power. What are you going to do when you figure stuff out? Make a citizen's arrest? You know? I call them out. I drop the names. Here, let me give you a list of names like I always do. Michael Aquino, Thomas Schoenberger, Gabe Hoffman, Lucian Greaves, Doug Masenko, founder of the Satanic Temple, his little friend, Kara, you know? And, whatever. He's Batman. You know? Then you have Corey Daniel, a.k.a. the Phoenix Enigma, Alicia Ray, a.k.a. the Sicilian Witch, Brett Trimble, Daniel Dowd, Geo Farnsworth, a.k.a. Geo Harris, a.k.a. whatever his real name is, Tara Joyce, Manny Chavez, you know? And so it's not being investigated, and there's an army of them on top of me all the time. They have, after they murdered Owen, and the reason why they murdered Owen is because Owen's brother was Ricky Chaddock's stepdad. And they didn't want me, because they knew Owen was going to help me to try and clear his brother's name. Never got charged for it, but at the time, John Pankinen, who was the cold case dude for Nebraska State Patrol. But you can't trust the police. Look at what I'm dealing with just here in Harlan. You know? They protected their own little pedophile group and their drug group. The drug operation that's going on here. None of this is being investigated. And the people who are telling you that, chances are they're working for the fucking pedophiles and working with the pedophiles to try and bamboozle everybody. Thomas says, well, I'm taking him to court. Big fucking deal. What will that accomplish? Anything? Nothing. Nothing that I could see. You know? And so, oh my God, some of you just need to get a life. Some of you need to get a life. The whole thing about it is that this bullshit is just, fucking kids is wrong. Selling kids, what they're doing is wrong. And not standing up against it makes people complicit with it. I know nobody wants to be held accountable or responsible, but that's, you know, let's be real. The only reason why those No King protests went on is because people are pissed off that the groceries are still high and the gas prices are high. And we're in a war that's going to drain resources. Look at what the Iraq war did. And this is going to be worse, you know? I think Corey Daniels is coming after me because they want to shut me up about Isaac Cappy. Because Isaac Cappy was trying to get this child trafficking bullshit investigated. All of those homeless camps, the 25 homeless camps that Corey Daniels says, well, I've been to 25 homeless camps and there's no child trafficking that's going on. Well, he's heavily involved. So of course they're going to tell you that. Thomas Schoenberger will say they're not involved with child trafficking. They all want you to focus on Isaac Cappy, and Isaac Cappy's been dead for 5.5 years. So they have you all they're taking you down these rabbit holes because they figure you'll be entertained by them. You know? Some people think there are secret tribunals underway at Gitmo. Nothing is secret anymore. If there were tribunals going on in Gitmo, it would have been leaked already. You know? It would have been leaked already. But they're all connected to each other. They're all connected to each other. Thomas Schoenberger is connected to Gabe Hoffman, and they're all connected to Lucian Greaves, and they're all connected to Sewertown. They all act like they're controlled opposition, but they're not. It's controlled opposition. They're not opposing each other. They're working with each other. And I'm pretty forthright. I hate people putting words in my mouth when I never said anything. Thomas just did a bunch of fucking emails. There are a lot of bots here. They're botting my station. Anytime I talk about stuff they don't like, they bot my station. Every time. If I went and talked about nothing, I would have 37 people in here. Total. But when I talk about stuff that they didn't like, fuck, sometimes it gets to be 2,000 people, they say. There's not 26 people in here. They're bots. They're botting my station. They're trying to shut me down. They're blasting the fuck out of me with their directed energy weapons. Completely. They go after all the time with all of the shit. At least the UK is now at least pretending to actually deal with it. You know, they're actually at least pretending to deal with it. I've moved before. They just follow me. They just follow me. When I moved from Washington State back to Iowa, the very next day when I got there and moved into that house, Doug Mesner started emailing me saying, we were waiting for you before you even got there. You know? Your government is screwed. Your government is screwed. And if they were really investigating anything, again, they would focus on that Shirley Oaks group home. There's 300 to 500 victims that have come together that are all saying that they were ritually abused and satanic ritually abused and that the Catholic Church was involved with it and all of that. That's Shirley Oaks. That's in the UK. I think all governments are screwed. They're all for their own power. And they're all vying to have power. They're all vying to have power. But the fact is that they're all entitled dumbasses and don't know how to fucking do shit. That's the reason why we're getting ready to go in. We're already starting World War III. It just hasn't gotten serious yet. But it's going to. France just came out and said 40% of the infrastructure with the oil reserves and the oil production and all that have been destroyed. 40%. And it's going to take years to rebuild that. Years to rebuild it. And now China is getting ready to, is preparing to do submarine battle with the United States. And In the United States, we're fucked. You really think that all of these reality television stars or these reality television people, because they weren't even stars, they were just podcasters, and you think they're going to be capable in a war? China is falling apart. That's the problem. Every government is falling apart. The economy is crashing in every government, which is going to lead us into World War III. What started World War I? The economy. What started World War II? The world economy. What's going to happen now? As people start to starve, and none of this child trafficking is being investigated. It's not even being looked at. It's not, they're not even, and the people that everyone believes, and there's not 39 people in here, they're just botting my station. Notice how Thomas Schoenberger never really talks about Lucian Greaves. Notice how Titus Frost never mentions Lucian Greaves. He has a whole history of going and attacking survivors, but he's not a part of this, I guess. You know, America is falling apart, and I think some of us see it. But others are deluded. They're telling themselves whatever they want to tell themselves or whatever makes them sleep better at night. America is falling apart. And we're not safe here. We're not safe. Bad people are running things, and they're all in power. Nowhere is safe. Nowhere is safe. Nowhere is safe. But I find it interesting that these meteors that are hitting in the world, there are a few other places in the world. There was one in the UK, but for the primarily part, the United States is getting a lot of them, you know? Painfully right. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Had there been guns back in the day of Jesus, Jesus would have said, live by the gun, die by the gun. You know? On the Titanic, the passengers in third class knew the ship was sinking, while the people in first class were still sipping champagne. Well, his name Hegseth, I really can't stand him. The neo-Nazi Department of War dude. Of course they don't think anything's going on. They're spending the American taxpayer money to buy $7 million worth of ribeye steaks, $9 million worth of lobster tail. You know? They're bilking the system, you know? I don't see us being around in 5 years. I really don't. Scrambling. Where do I see things working out in the next 5 years? I see there being a lot of world migration. People running and trying to survive. That's how I see it. Nuclear war. Nuclear war is coming. Do you think that the dumbasses in charge right now aren't considering dropping in? The only reason they got us into the war in Iran is because they wanted to distract from the Epstein files. But they had no plan. They still have no plan. And they're not smart enough to come up with a plan. So we're in this quagmire that we're not going to get out of. We thought it was hard to get out of Iraq. You know? No, Trump is not the reborn Jesus Christ. Who he is the salvation. He's basically Trump is the false prophet. Everybody he leads so many people. They actually have the shit on their foreheads. And the mark on their palm just means they're able to buy and sell. The billionaires, you know? I'm old. This reminds me of Vietnam. Susan, this is going to be so much worse than Vietnam. Why? Because this already is this started off as an unpopular war. You know? And so I've watched this. Israel is the problem. Israel itself is not the problem. Benjamin Netanyahu, nincompoop, he's the problem. But I agree with Joey Cush. Everyone is the problem. You know, there is no 5D chess. Trump is not a white hat. Trump has never been involved with the average man. When has he ever hung out with average men? They all work together. They all work together. Benjamin Netanyahu is working with Russia. Russia is dictating stuff to Trump. The world leaders have gone insane, have gone crazy. And as they're proving, they'll burn the world down before they lose control of it. They don't give a shit. They'll burn the world down. But this child trafficking crap that's going on is not being investigated. You know? Well, the reason why China is just waiting is because China thinks in generations, doesn't think that China is not instant gratification. That's the reason why China has been. China's having its own issues. They're all having their own issues. They're in it for the long haul, for the long game. And Chinese people have a tendency to be very smart because as a culture, they're focused very much on education. Dementia Donald, that's funny. It's Monday. It's Monday. It's noon on Monday. They run those sirens every Monday at noon just for a second because those are the tornado sirens. And I have a feeling that it's going to get bad. Putin is a super, super bad guy. They're all super bad people, you know? And I'm stressed. They're blasting me. It's a end of the month blues. I can't leave. I would if I could, but now I don't even have $1 in my name because I spent that $1. Poverty sucks, but shit. With them blasting me with this weapon, who knows how long I'll be around, you know? Who knows how long I'm going to be around? They're trying to set me up every way they can. They're blasting the shit out of me. I am totally isolated. But I can't really put anybody in harm's way becoming friends with anybody because they go after my friends. And if I cared about people, why would I put anybody in that position? After they murdered Owen, you know, I was never one who actually went out and had. This is a good example. I don't call people on Facebook my friends. They're Facebook acquaintances. But a friend is, if you were in a dire situation, who would you call to help you? Those people you can consider friends. Otherwise, everyone else is just acquaintances and people you know that you're friendly with. I'm friendly with almost everybody. Unless you're involved with this pedophile operation, and then I'm not very friends at all. People know I'm not a nutbag. People in town know I'm not crazy. People in town know I'm not crazy. My translator is not on. People know I'm not crazy. But the pedophiles will all try to convince you that I am. Because that's a victim that was involved with Jeffrey Epstein. They were crazy. That is what Lucian Greaves does. Tells everyone who says that they're part of ritual abuse, they're crazy. If they just run off the bat and tell you, oh, they're nutbags, they're crazy, chances are they're part of the whole pedophile ring. And that's what they want to do. They want to discredit everyone who has anything to say about any of this shit. And so the first thing they come out with is they're crazy. But I think they're fucking ignorant. Or pedophiles. They don't have a clue. And people who have followed me for years know. I keep saying the same shit over and over and over again. You know? No, I don't give my phone number out anymore. Lisa, I understand. Poverty does suck. I'm out in the mountains with no gas money. I have no gas money. I have no gas money. All he would do is just call and tell me I'm crazy. That's what they do. These pedophiles have fucking crime after crime after crime. But it's like Thomas Schoenberger. I call him out on shit. He just ignores what I say and then just directs it to something else. You can't call them out on anything because they don't admit it, you know? And see, the whole thing about it is, Fox, everybody in here knows you're a piece of shit. Nobody's, you know, I would tell you that you're a nutbag. Everybody in here knows that because they know you're an idiot, you know? No racist bullshit in here. Thank you. Foxtrotting. Why do I think that you're Geo? You're either Geo or Daniel. And no, of course you're not asking for any money. You make a lot of money fucking kids, you know? And I'm not a pedophile either. This is one of them. This Foxtrotting dude is one of them. You know? But then Geo and Daniel Dowd posted videos of my town when they murdered Owen Winkert. Geo has gone on and on and on, bragged about it, you know? I don't care, dude. You're gone. But don't worry. If he's like all the other fucking pedophiles, he'll have 15 other fake ass names to come in here again. So don't worry, he'll be back. See, Katie, people do care. They don't care about what he says. The problem that they have, the reason why he's in here fighting me, is because people do care. People don't like pedophiles. They want this child trafficking shit to be stopped. They know that this ritual abuse stuff exists. People are well aware since they've busted two of them that these satanic neo-Nazi pedophile groups exist. Anyone who says they don't exist is an ignorant asshole. They do exist. The people in town here, Alex, George, the one where the weapon is, across the street who have their car pointed in their yard right at my house, you know? They'll fight for fucking pedophiles. They'll fight for pedophiles and then call themselves superior, you know? You can guarantee, notice how they don't ever tell you how much money they're giving the CIA. They want how many billions of dollars for ICE? Who's paying for CIA? It's like they don't even exist. He gave all of his info like they can't make it up. He does make it up. And if he was actually real, he would actually, it's in the trillions. What was it, 20 trillion? It was something outrageous. And that's the reason why the TSA agents aren't getting paid. Because they want you know. But fuck, Pete Hegseth wants $200 billion for a war that Trump is telling everybody is already over. You know? Our government can't stop them because our government is involved. You know? CIA Black Ops is where they get their money. Child and human trafficking, organ trafficking, and drug trafficking. Exactly. Katie, I'm going to take a picture of that. I'll block out your name when I post it, but I want to circle it so that everyone knows That's exactly. People aren't stupid. There are a lot of us who are very, very aware. Very aware. And so, but, and he can, that Fox idiot, they always, Wolf, Fox, they always, you can tell how egotistical they are by their names, you know? And so, but I would be willing to bet that that's Daniel Dowd or Geo Farnsworth. Geo Farnsworth, who used to call me drunk all the time. Now those calls are blocked, you know? And I just post everything. Or they use Nordic symbols. Because they fancied themselves as Vikings. Valhalla, you know? Not one of those pathetic, entitled little boys would actually make it to Valhalla, you know? Because they're all little boys. Entitled little boys. But when you think that they're investigating this child trafficking bullshit, just realize they just let us into World War III to distract from it. There's not 42 people in here. It goes from 42 to 38. Then it drops all the way down to 14. Do I believe there might be 14 people in here? Yeah. But they're bodying my channel because I don't even understand why. Of course they're watching us. They dote on every word I say. Are you kidding? They've already been in here. Obviously they're watching. They dote on every word I say. Katie, if you don't mind, basically because I'm broke, if you want to buy a book, I'd actually prefer that you actually spend the $30 and buy it from me. That way I can put an inscription on it and sign it. So just send $30 to Venmo or PayPal and tell me who I'm inscribing the book to and where I'm sending it. And I will send you a book. I try to do it the same day. If I don't get the book sent out the same day, I'll do it the very next day. I try to keep up on that because if I fall behind, I'll forget. So I'm surprised I don't have drones flying around my house. But they live right beside me. They watch everything I do. You know, not enough comments for 39 people. Now there's 42 people. There's not enough comments. They're botting my station because they don't want anyone to know. It's the pedophile fucking group. That's who it is. That's who's in here, is the pedophiles. Trust me, they dote on every word I say. They watch everything. They listen to everything. They are on top of me, you know? And so it's just ridiculous how it works. And they're all CIA. Mike Lucchino was CIA. Shane Bugbee, co-founder of the Satanic Temple, called out Doug Masenko because Doug Masenko told him that he was working with the CIA. I believe Gabe Hoffman is working with the CIA. I believe Thomas Schoenberger is working with the CIA. And they're all prolific liars. So they're of course going to say they don't work for the CIA. They're going to tell you everything. You know, they're going to tell you, oh, he's crazy. We don't work for the CIA. And yet they know everything there is, and none of their shit actually leads to anything. All the work that Titus Frost has done, has it led to anybody or anything? No. Thomas Schoenberger, has it led to anything or anyone? No. No. It never goes anywhere. Tara Joyce, does it lead anywhere? No. It never does. It's just meant to be entertaining. That's what it's meant to be. It's meant to discredit and discombobulate everything. You know? I would say that a lot of usual suspects, It is very hard to be a victim of this and break away from it. It's very hard. I've only met a couple real ones. For the most part, they don't. For the most part, you can be a victim of this, then they employ that victim and send them out. And what they are honeypots. They go out and attract all of the survivors, so then they can target those survivors and neutralize them. That's what Lucian Greaves, Doug Masenko, does when he sends his little satanic temple minions into the SMART conference, Neil Brick's SMART conference in Connecticut. They send it to it. That's how I kind of got involved with all of this with Doug Mesner. They targeted me when I was dealing with the SMART conference with Neil Brick, because I talked there 3 years in a row. You know? I talked there 3 years in a row. Just because they're a victim doesn't mean that you can trust everything. In fact, I know that there are real survivors who broke away. But those of us who broke away have been silenced. We've been quieted. We get attacked. I think there's some real victims in here that are actually legitimate people who actually broke away from it and are suffering as a result. Men don't usually survive. Men usually end up dead or in jail, to be quite honest. That's what my therapist always told me. I think the only reason why I didn't end up in dead or in jail as a man is because I identified for so many years as gay. I would love the link. I've never heard of the website Whale. You know? People who actually broke away. But I will tell you that survivors who actually break away, legitimately break away, like myself, we were only able to do so because we got involved with Jesus Christ. And that sounds trite. It sounds weird, but in all the years that I've been at this, the survivors who actually got away from this stuff, we all got away because we started having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. You know? And that's what saved us. That's what saved me. You know? Most kids don't, but some do. You know? That's the reason why, as a ritual abuse survivor, they get to hate God. And they did. For a long time, I hated God. When I went to go study Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Gospels of Jesus Christ, I didn't go because I was a convert. I didn't go because I believed in Jesus Christ. When I first went into it, I did it because I hated Jesus Christ. And I wanted to tear those Gospels apart. I wanted to rip it apart. I wanted to prove that Jesus Christ was a fraud. But in the process of that, what I found was that the Gospels of Jesus Christ are infallible. He is actually telling the truth. It is the way things work. And it was through that actually I found myself saved. In whatever way you can say that I've been saved. Because right now, not having a dime to my name, being inundated with their machines, having them on top of me 24/7, saved is not really the word I would use. I'm still on the battlefield. But because I'm still standing here on the battlefield, that all goes back to the Most High. Jesus Christ, you know? I ended up realizing not only did I not hate Jesus Christ, I love God. I love the Word. I love the Word. Our reward isn't in here, it's in heaven. That's right. Store your treasures in heaven. That's the reason why fucking Alex can come in and fucking steal shit. He just came in and stole a modem that I had ordered on eBay. Thinking, oh, it's going to all upset me. But, you know, that shit will come back to him. That shit will come back to him. him, George, the idiot that doesn't even live there anymore, and I'm sure that the machine is, but what can I do? You know, I'm not going to do anything. I'm certainly not going to go over there, you know. All I can do is endure with as much grace as I'm able to muster. But I wasn't in such a shitty mood today, so I wanted to come in and do one because the last two times that I've done, no, they steal it from my house. They come in to my house. They obviously have a Wi-Fi scrambler. That's the reason why I'm going to start raising money, because I'm going to get deer cameras and put them on the outside of the house. That way you can't. There'll be no shutting them down with Wi-Fi scramblers. You know, and then they brag about it. When they came in and they stole a 2006 Dell laptop that was broken. I wasn't so mad about the laptop. Didn't give a shit about the laptop, but the bag that it was in was a gift, and I never realized how expensive that bag is. I don't know who Alondra Markman is. But I will tell you that they have a lot of people out there right now. They're all doing interviews. They're all desperately trying to get a hold of that narrative. You know? We're supposed to bring heaven. We are supposed to bring heaven to earth. God works through us, as us, to bring heaven to earth. You know? It's not, fuck, I have locks. I have cameras on the inside. It doesn't seem to make any difference. And when I got a brand new lock that's supposed to be like this superior lock, and I said something, I can't do booby traps because if they get hurt in a booby trap in my house, I get in trouble. You know? I don't trust Jessie Cesabar. She's worked with Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple. I call her Doug Mesner's wannabe girlfriend. I don't trust her. And she talks about shit. There's no way. Again, if they're everywhere and they have hundreds of thousands of people watching them and they're everywhere and they're getting interviewed and they're writing book after book after book and all of that, they're not real. You can bet that they're not real because they don't let us real ones do shit. They isolate us and try and kill us. That's what ends up happening. Anybody who stands against them, they don't tolerate that. They've tried to take me out over and over and over and over. The only reason I'm here is because God seems to need me here. And so I'm here. But again, they're bodying my station. 36, there's not 36 people in here. But I was in a better mood today. It's controlled opposition. What they do is that they get survivors to go out and start talking to people and they act. What ends up happening is that they become honeypots. Other survivors identify the truth in what they're saying because they really are victims. They actually did go through the shit. And so they reach out to those victims or they reach out to those survivors that are going on and then they get targeted. That's how it works. It's how it's always worked. That's why they murdered Lori King, because Lori King had quite the following. They got everything down. They got her to take everything down a month before they murdered her, and they murdered her on the same weekend that the Ivory Garden Conference was in Seattle at the Marriott at SeaTech. They murdered her the same weekend that conference was going on, so every survivor heard about it. And it scared the shit out of everyone. Just pissed me off. They murdered Isaac Cappy for the same reason. They murdered Isaac Cappy to scare people. You know? The thing is that they just realize that the cops aren't going to help. but I don't work a job, and you can't tell when I'm home or not. And now I'm always home. Fuck, I don't have any money. You know? And right now they're blasting the shit out of me because if they could take me down before Easter, they would love it. It would make them feel powerful. So now they're just trying all this shit to try and fuck me up before Easter. Because Easter is worse than Halloween when it comes to these rituals and ritual killings. They murder more kids at Easter than they do Halloween or Christmas. You know? And so I have pit bulls. I never had parts, Jack, so I can't tell you. And I don't have a gun, which is probably fucking stupid for me to say. But if you come in and you catch me in my house when I'm here, you ain't gonna walk out unscathed. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. You ain't gonna walk out unscathed. And you better realize that if you come into my house and I'm here, it will be a kill or be killed situation. Of course, it's probably me that they'll probably kill, but oh well. Easter is the worst time. This is the worst time. That's the reason why they're hitting so hard. Any real survivor will tell you Easter is the worst time. It is a really, really, really bad time. Easter is just, they go out of their way. They say these Luciferians go out of their way to thumb their nose at God all the time. And so therefore, they go, there's a lot of child sacrifice at Easter. There's a lot of rituals at Easter. They want to set themselves up as God. And so they thumb their nose at God. And so Easter's bad. Problem that I have, Pineapple, with the gun is that I don't know anything about guns. And chances are, they say statistically speaking that people are murdered, most people are murdered by their own guns. And I have other ways. And God watches out over me. You know? And God's not pleasant for the people that wrath is visited upon. God's wrath is still not pleasant. And it still exists. And that's what I put that up more to God's wrath than it does all of their rituals that they cast on protection rituals of what I do as kids, what they did as kids. Because it could be those rituals too. It's not like they didn't cast all kinds of protection rituals on me and retribution rituals. That's the reason why Alex hides in his fucking house, because he's so goddamn scared of ICE right now, because he's an undocumented Mexican, you know? And so he hides now. There's no more little fucking sly-ass smiles and jumping around in front of me now. That's all kind of slowed down. Now they're starting to realize that the problem is that they all underestimate me because I believe in Jesus Christ. I try to be as nice as I possibly can. For many, many years, I was a doormat. I'm not a doormat anymore. But on the same hand, you know, I try to live the word as best as I can. That's just it, Pineapple. They can't get to me, but they get to people that I care about. Them murdering Owen and then bragging about it. Daniel Dad posting all the live videos of Harlan, the day that the time that they fucking murdered him, and Geo Farnsworth, who I believe that Fox idiot was, you know. Oh wow, look, I've gone from 50 to 21 people now. Guess they got tired of me calling them out, but go ahead. I'm calling you guys out. You're gonna bot my station, so go ahead, bring it back up to 50. Show you care. Because that's how I look at it. They don't want anyone listening to anything I have to say. You know? I haven't watched Isaac Cappy's scene in this series. Oh, John, to be quite honest, I completely forgot about it. That was in that show on Prime Video, right? If you can post it again, when I get off here, I'll go upstairs and go look at it. I'll go upstairs and watch it. It's just that stuff kind of irritates me because there's so much bullshit. But again, you want to know who wasn't involved with that 14-year-old who just got busted in Florida being involved with the satanic neo-Nazi pedophile group? The dude that's been dead for over 5 years. Isaac Cappy wasn't involved. And yet it's still happening. You know? Other SRA channels. Imagination Podcast, or however the fuck they now announce it. Emma and David Hall, who calls himself Mr. Gray, which I believe is, he got that character name from Stephen King's Dreamcatcher. Go type in Mr. Gray, Stephen King, and you can read all about who I think David Hall was. You know, The Boys, that's it. It's not on YouTube. The Boys is a Prime Video series, but I have Prime Video. Emma is the one who runs it. That was one of the reasons why Fiona and I've walked away from Fiona. That, and she's so far up Donald Trump's ass, she actually had the audacity to tell me that Fred Trump wasn't one of my main abusers. And it fucking pissed me off. I told her to go fuck herself. And yet everyone is supposed to look at her shit as gospel, but the shit that she says about Billy Graham, the dates don't match. It's what she's saying is impossible. So she wants everyone to dote on her fucking abuse and believe everything she has to say, but she can tell other survivors that they're liars. And it's because she's so far up Trump's ass. You know? As an Australian, I just find it ridiculous. But then she often tries to tell me. One time we got into a fight because she was telling me what it was like to be a gay man in rural America as a straight woman who lives in Australia. And she was mad that I was not listening to what she had to say. How the fuck would you know what it's like to be a gay man if you're not a gay man? I told her, okay, well, I tell you what, why don't I tell you all about what it's like to be pregnant and have a fucking baby? You gonna listen to every word I say about that too? Because I know so much about what it's like to be pregnant and have a baby. Right. Pineapple is exactly it. Anyone who is making a living and getting all the press attention and writing books and going on interview after interview and has fucking thousands, hundreds of thousands of people following them and all of that, they're fake. They're fake. So when they come out and say, oh, I've published 15 books, then you're not real. What you are, what you aren't, is a threat to them. Because they don't let threats, people that they identify as a threat to their organization, do shit. They're on top of us, keeping us poor. But fuck. Oh well, you know. We were never told that carrying our crosses would be easy. We were just told it would be worth it. And life among the skeptics. Okay. Have I read the Book of Mormon? Yes, I've read the Book of Mormon. I actually was baptized. I'm not Mormon, but I was baptized Mormon. And the only reason I got baptized Mormon is because I wanted to be baptized underwater, and the Mormons were working with me, and I was able to get baptized. But Logan, who actually was the one who baptized me, when I showed up, he was just like, I didn't think you were even going to show up. Because the problem that I have with the Mormon church is I've never met so many people who were so focused on living the word and living the life for God, but they've been manipulated. The FBI and the CIA, at least at one point in time, were inundated top heavy with Mormons. So you get all of these devout people who actually really want to serve the word, and you convince them to work for the devil. Because the CIA and the FBI are organizations that serve the devil, basically, in my opinion. Definitely the CIA. And so, and that's Pineapple is right too. Those who are working for the enemy are worth watching, because what they end up doing is that they take the truth. There is truth in what they are saying, but you have to use your discernment to figure out what they're lying about. Because they'll take the truth and then wrap it up with so many lies, they figure you're going to throw the bath out with the baby out with the bathwater. You know? And so, what do you suggest we do? Tarry on. Live the word as best as you can. Live the word as best as you can. Love God, love everyone else. God's going to deal with these fucking pedophiles. God is going to deal with these pedophiles. I can't tell you what exactly you can do. I don't even know who you are. How can I tell you specifically what to do in your life if I don't even know who you are or what your life is like? You know? What exactly do you do? Figure it the fuck out. That's all I can say. Stop looking for answers in people that are strangers and don't even know you. Go ask God inside of yourself what you're supposed to do and then listen to that. That's what you should do. That's what you should do. Stop looking for other people to give answers. And for God's sakes, when God asks you to do something, stop trying to get it validated by all the people around you, because it's never going to happen. God doesn't talk to a lot of people because they don't fucking listen. And they're more than willing to tell you that you're fucking crazy and stupid because they don't want to accept the fact that God may care enough to be actually talking to you. So stop looking for validation from other people who are invested in invalidating your relationship with God. Because a lot of people are very invested in destroying that because they don't have it themselves. Right. Stop seeking validation from strangers and goofball influencers. Which, to be quite honest, I'm not an influencer. Influencers have a lot of people listen to them. Fuck, I don't even have 10,000 people on this, and I've been at this station is 15 plus years old, and I don't even have 10,000 views. I'm not an influencer. I'm just someone talking the truth, you know? And I don't have any answers for you guys. I can barely figure out the answers for myself, you know? It's easier, Pineapple, I think, to actually, you know? And I'm not a grifter, Mr. 2026. I told you that he would come back with another thing. I have a book. I have a blog that it's older than this YouTube station. I don't charge for any of that. I have a documentary. Never charged for the documentary. The extended version of my book, Confessions of an Antichrist, is on my blog for free. But these people know that I am poor and that I am struggling, and they want to prevent anyone from helping me. They don't want anyone to help me. And of course, they're not grifters. They're fucking your kids and selling them. They don't need to ask you for money. They just take it. They don't ask for shit. Well, Tara Joyce does. She asks for donations all the time and then calls me a grifter, but I don't see her offering shit. She doesn't have a book, a blog, anything. You're just supposed to pay her because she has a personality. Of course, it's like a dirty tampon as far as I'm concerned, but hey, I guess people are interested in that. Some people. Something for everyone, I guess. Right. Pray and the answer will be given to you if you really want it. There's enough people who know that I've been at this for years. And I only started even asking for donations. I've been at this. This station here is 15 plus years old. I've did interviews and all of stuff. I haven't even been asking for donations for 3 years now. So I've done all of this shit for free. And now I ask for donations. And if you want to donate, great. If you don't want to donate, the shit's still for free. I still do these lives for free. My blog is still for free. My book isn't for free, but that's because Amazon doesn't give my book away for free. But the extended version of my book is for free. You know? Again, they do whatever they can to discredit survivors because they're trying to protect their fucking pedophile operation. We're going into World War III so they can protect their pedophile operation. See how that works? And they always come in here with fake ass names because they can't help themselves. They are obsessed with me. They live and breathe me. They wake up in the morning thinking about me. They think about me all goddamn day, and they go to bed thinking about me. Fucking Thomas Schoenberger says, well, I didn't watch your last live because I've been so busy. Not busy enough that you didn't send me, what, fucking 10 emails yesterday over and over and over and over and over? You weren't that busy, obviously. You were sending me email after email after email. Ask you anything? Are you fucking kidding? Because I think you're a liar, Thomas. In fact, I know you're a liar. I know you're a liar. I know your whole group are liars. And I also realize that your group is fucked. Because God's getting ready to take care of your stupid asses. You know? Thank you, Pineapple. I'm glad that you like the inscription. And Pineapple can say, Pineapple bought my book the very next day. It took me a day because I didn't leave the house. But the very next day, I sent it out. And then when I send it out, if you pay on PayPal or Venmo, I will send you the tracking number immediately after I send it because I'm always afraid I'm going to lose that receipt. So I always send out the tracking number so you'll know when it's coming right off the bat. And again, I try to do it the same day, but if I can't do it the same day, I generally do it the next day. And those books right now cost me $16. $16. The shipping in the United States is $5. So that's $21. Then I have to go buy the envelopes that I sell, thing. So I basically make $6 on a book. Yeah. For being a grifter, I sure the fuck am not very good at it. You know? I'm certainly not very good at it. Considering I don't have a fucking dime to my name right now. And I don't get paid till the 3rd. I just try not to think about it. You know? I spend a lot of time home, even though they're inundating me with their machine right now. You know? My Venmo, everything is in the description. Everything is in the description. It's at, and then my first initial D and my last name, Shurter. S-H-U-R-T as in Tom, E-R. But it's all in the description. Don't send it to me on, because you can't tell me the stuff on, Buy Me a Coffee only pays out once a week. So if anyone pays for a book that, you're not going to get it for a while. Because I don't have a dime. I couldn't even go out. I couldn't pay the postage, let alone buy the envelope to send the book in, because they only pay out once, you know. And I'm actually thinking about just either revamping or getting rid of the GoFundMe account, because I set that GoFundMe up to help pay for my taxes for my house. And people, I don't know who a lot of them are because it was anonymous, a lot of anonymous, but I made that tax bill in 8 days. And that was a miracle all in and of itself. But what was also a miracle is that I realized that there are people out there who actually do give a shit. They do give a shit about me, about this child trafficking, about the work I'm doing. Because I've been at this for a long time and I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop until I know that it's being dealt with, you know? So they bring me down with their little directed energy weapon and I go to the other side. I'm still going to fight it on the other side. Probably harder than what I do now. And who's running this pedophile ring? The CIA. Who was Michael Aquino involved with? The CIA. And even if Michael Aquino is dead, which I don't really believe he is, his associates that were helping him with all this child trafficking are not dead. You know, are not dead. And it's bullshit. And the people who are supposed to be investigating it are busy hiding it and lying. You know? They're hiding it. We're going into World War III so they can protect their fucking pedophile bullshit. That's why we bombed Iran. Because they wanted to distract from all the conversations with Jeffrey Epstein. And it's worked. Now everyone's talking about gas prices in World War III. Funny how no one's talking about Jeffrey Epstein anymore. I don't know who Nicholas Schreck is. But again, I can't be the only one. But I seem to be the only one who's naming names. Most of them talk in code. That's what I had a problem with Isaac Cappy. In the end, he talked in code. What good is code? What good is talking in code? No one knows what you're even talking about. So in the end, when you end up dead, nobody knows. He called himself a Judas. What did he mean? Nobody knows. I think it's because he set up that Famalam thing to try and fight against child trafficking. And Sewertown and all the people that are now still involved with it turned it around and used it for child trafficking. Daniel Dowd, child trafficker. I believe Tara Joyce, involved in child trafficking. Gio Farnsworth, involved with child trafficking. Gabe Hoffman, involved with child trafficking. Lucian Greaves. If he's not involved with the child trafficking, he sure is involved. Oh, well, if he married Anton LaVey's daughter, then I wouldn't trust him. Sorry. That's just me. And that's just it. People have the memory of a gnat. And they know that. That's the reason why they keep giving people all this reality television bullshit. The one reason why I am not working with Fiona at all anymore is because I don't believe that Tom Hanks fucking was on the bridge murdering Isaac Cappy. I don't believe Oprah Winfrey was on the fucking bridge murdering Isaac Cappy. I believe that Isaac Cappy reached out to Craig Sawyer. Craig Sawyer convinced him to get picked up, and he ended up in that military base 2 minutes from that bridge, and Daniel Dowd and Corey Daniel put his dead-ass corpse on that fucking bridge. And Brett Trimble, who is a military officer who's in security, set it all up. That's why they have so many 911 calls from an area that's out in the middle of nowhere and desolate. That's why. Hanks was probably trolling. But they tell you all that bullshit because it's so much more interesting and entertaining to think that Tom Hanks and Oprah Winfrey were on the bridge and murdered Isaac Cappy than talking about a bunch of people that most of you probably don't even have a fucking clue who they are. It's so much more entertaining. And a lie, when a lie is told, it can circle the world 3 times before the truth is even getting its boots on. Because people love gossip. And the more salacious, the better. Craig Sawyer is he's part of the child trafficking bullshit. He's part of the child trafficking bullshit. He is heavily involved. You know who Craig Sawyer worked for most of his career? Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton can say whatever the fuck she wants, but she and Bill Clinton are involved. Obama, involved. Biden, involved. Donald Trump, involved. They're all involved. But they've broken us down into tribal politics so one can be involved. But if one's involved, then the other one that you're for, the tribal thing. So if you are a Clinton person, then it's all Donald Trump and all of that and never Hillary Clinton. And if you're for Trump, it's all about the Clintons and Obamas and all of that, but never Trump. That's what they've done. They use people's ignorance against them to discombobulate. Michael Aquino supposedly murdered himself twice. He murdered himself, he killed himself, and then 3 years later, supposedly he killed himself again. That's why I don't believe he's dead. And how did I find out the first time that he ended up dying? Because supposed members of Temple of Set, they all descended upon me and started bitching at me about how I needed to apologize to Lilith, which was never going to fucking happen. That's how I found out about Michael Aquino the first time. Then the second time he killed himself is the exact same time I found out that my stepmother wasn't dead, because Kathy was telling everybody that Joanne was dead. And that's how this started for me. My family's involvement with all this child trafficking. That's how all this started for me. Isaac Cappy got hit by a truck, but didn't bleed. No blood. How the fuck do you get hit by a truck? Shit, I cut my finger and I can bleed all over the place. But he went off of a fucking bridge, got hit by a goddamn truck and didn't bleed. Huh. What would cause that? Maybe he was dead before he was ever on that fucking bridge. That's, because they're all hiding. They're all in witness protection. Isaac's in witness protection. Everyone's in witness protection. It's bullshit. He was already dead. You can go get the deluxe 2 CD set of everything Isaac Cappy's suicide. They have the autopsy photos. You can go look at the fucking autopsy photos yourself. My dad died. My dad died of prostate cancer in 2006. And I still didn't do it. But right after my dad died, Alan Bear died. And I was waiting for Alan Bear to die. Because Alan Bear was after Michael Aquino, Alan Bear was my handler. And Alan Bear would have murdered. Yeah, witness protection and tribunals next that are already starting to happen. Nobody knows about them. They're all secret. No, babbler. And don't take anything that I'm saying personally when I get irritated by it. Because you're just talking about what you've heard. And the stories that are out there are pretty ridiculous. But if you don't know the situation and you don't know the people involved, because 11 months after they murdered Isaac Cappy, they tried to murder me by blowing up that Earling, Iowa garage that sold gas. It wasn't really a gas station. It was more of a garage, but it sold gas. They tried to murder me 11 months after they murdered Isaac, they tried to murder me. Oh, I'm not trying to use the Lord's name in vain. But the Lord's name, our Father's name is not God. And really, Jesus' name isn't Jesus. Yeshua. But I apologize. I'm not trying to be blasphemous. It's just that when I start talking about this stuff, I get irritated because it's just, I've been at it for so long and I've gotten so little. I haven't gotten very far in all the years that been at this. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And it irritates me. It does. And people ask questions that are legitimate questions, but they're the same questions that I've gotten asked over the years. And so I get irritated with the questions. And then people think I'm irritated with them, not realizing I don't even know who you guys are. Jesus Christ is our brother, not our father. I'm just, and I handle my PTSD. I have complex PTSD. But the reason why because I've been in therapy for so many years and I'm old. I'll be 60 this year. When you get old, it takes a lot of energy to be angry with this all the time. I just don't have the energy. And to be angry with all this all the time means you can't get anything else done. And I'm always working on projects. I'm trying to get that Last Supper panel done. It's not, but that's because I just spent the last week doing manual labor in my yard. And it's not finished yet, but I'm waiting a little bit closer to planter season. They love to trigger us. They love to trigger us. Lex Wexner is a bad dude. You're just a kid. I'm old. I don't feel like a kid. I feel like I'm a million years old. This life has just been, it's been a trial. It hasn't been without its benefits. Has not been without its benefits, you know? And so, well, it's 80 degrees. I had to get outside because they're just inundating me. They're trying to get me to have a heart attack or a stroke. That's what they're doing with their little fucking toys. They're trying to shut me up any way they can. You know? Of course I remember Cheech and Chong. I thought Cheech and Chong were hilarious when I was younger. But then I have to go watch it when I'm old. Because there were things that I liked. Weird Science was a movie. I loved the song from Oingo Boingo. And it came out when I was a kid. And so I watched it like a couple years ago, remembering, I loved this movie when I was a kid. It's about a woman who's a pedophile and fucks 15-year-olds. I wasn't so much of a fan of it after I watched it as an adult. It's funny how your perspective changes. You know? Are you familiar with North Fox Island trafficking? Francis Sheldon. No. If it's okay though, Phantom, I'm going to take a thing with that. I like to put some of the stuff that I get on here so that because people read my blog and they read the stuff that I actually post of the screenshots. And some of the screenshots are not meant to be bad screenshots, but some of you guys have amazing information. Amazing information. The Bible is, I believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can't get me to argue the Bible as a whole because, Noah's Ark doesn't make sense to me. Noah's Ark happened in the Middle East, so how did they get kangaroos back to Australia? See what I'm saying? But again, editing has a lot to do with it, and the Catholic Church edited it all out. But when you read the Gnostic, the Bible that I want to get, I really want to get an Ethiopian Bible. I don't have one, and I really want one really bad. I want to sit down and read the Ethiopian Bible. I've read the King James from front cover to back cover 3 times, and just countless times opening it up. But And I've read the Gnostic. I've read the scrolls that came from all that. Gospel of Thomas is one of my favorite gospels, which is supposed to be the actual real words of Jesus Christ. I love that. And I guess the Ethiopian Bible has all of it, you know? And so I would really like to get an Ethiopian Bible. But right now, what I'd love to do is get a gallon of milk. That ain't going to happen, you know? Because I just don't have any money. And when they come in here and start calling me a grifter, it does have an effect. I hate to ask people. It takes humility to actually ask people for help. And I don't mind, but it gets used against me. And I'm afraid that people are going to think that I'm a grifter and they won't listen to what I have to say. And so I would rather you listen to what I have to say and try and get the words that I'm saying instead of, worrying about cash. And so I've been on here for an hour and 21 minutes. I did not mean to be on here this long, but I want to pray before I end. So for those of you who are inclined, please pray with me. For those who aren't, turn your volume down. I don't know. I guess it's up to you. I personally like prayer. I sometimes get irritated and complain about it, but I believe that when two or more are gathered in our Father's name, miracles can happen. I truly believe that. And so, Heaven, we come to you as your children. We are living in perilous days. And it is hard to know which way to turn or what to believe. So I just ask that you open our hearts and our minds and give us the power of discernment. We all need to learn to discern and to use our critical reasoning skills and to follow no man. Listen, but don't follow. The only one that we are to follow, the only one that I personally even care about following, is our brother, your son, Jesus Christ. Following the word. I just watched Godspell this morning because it always makes me feel good. I love Godspell. And so, but it's becoming Easter. There are survivors out there that are having a really hard time because this is a really difficult time of year for us. And just use the Holy Spirit to envelop us with peace, if even for enough time to get a bit of respite from the fights and tribulations that we are trying to overcome. Open our hearts. Help us to find humility and compassion and truth, and to be the light that we need to be to get through these perilous days, because these days are dark. Evil is being promoted as good, and good is being promoted as weakness. And none of that is true. You sent your son, our brother Jesus Christ, down to basically officiate and complete the teachings of the word. And we are grateful and humbled and joyful that you did so. And we are the sacrifice that our brother made on your behalf is something to aspire for, despite the fact that it's incredibly scary. But open our hearts and let us become beacons. All glory goes to you and your son, our brother, Jesus Christ. Amen. Trump's dad is bad, and Trump is just doing what his daddy wanted to do. I can't stand Donald Trump. I can't stand any of them. you know? And guys, someone just said, they don't have a lot of money. If you don't have a lot of money, don't hurt yourselves to help me. You know, I appreciate any help that anybody can give, but don't hurt yourselves to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not a grifter. It's not about the money. Poverty sucks. Poverty sucks. And I think a lot of us know how sucky poverty is. It sucks for a lot of us. We're all but I'll be back on. Today's Monday. I'll probably be back on tomorrow. But this has been a long one. This has been an hour and a half, but you guys have been talking so much that it's just been this has been a really nice time. And I just want to tell you guys in here, thank you so much, because this has been one of the better lives. And I'm not screaming the whole time. Nobody wants to listen to me yell. And the last two, I was yelling. The last two were I've been angry, but I'm not angry today. I'm just resolved. And I've been doing a lot of praying. I've journeyed twice today to go in and talk to God. I will be getting a Cash App thing. Some people have been after me to get a Cash App. But it'll be interesting. You guys come back here in a little bit and go hit the description, because I'm going to post the numbers for the bots. What I like to do is take a number. At the very end, it gives me this numbers, and it gives me the numbers for the bots. How many people in? How many thousands of people were in here for the hour and a half? But then I go to the actual real one and take it, like, it can say that I have 2,000 people that were in here, but then when I go click on the real one, and there, it'll say 37 people. And so there's usually a big disparity between the numbers. But then there's spending money that's not theirs. It's all money they're making off of fucking kids. So they don't give a shit. I do, though. I think other people do too. I don't have a Cash App yet. I'm such a grifter that I have yet to set up a Cash App. People have asked me repeatedly for it, and I keep forgetting about it. So I'll try and do that before tomorrow. But there's no promises, because I've been trying to do it forever. And I have some stuff I have to get done this afternoon around the house. And God only knows. Their directed energy weapon shit is so bad right now. I'm surprised I'm still upright. To be quite honest, it's been horrid. They are torturing me in my own house. And it's wrong on so many levels. And why? Because they're a bunch of fucking pedophiles who like the devil. Satanic neo-Nazi pedophile group. They fit that name to a T. And I guarantee you that 14-year-old they just busted in Florida being involved with it isn't the one who was running it. I'll give the names one last time, and then I'm going to get off here. Michael Aquino was behind all of this. Gabe Hoffman, Thomas Schoenberger, Lucian Greaves, Doug Masenko, a.k.a. Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple. They're using his Satanic Temple after-school daycare to target the kids. And it's all heavily down in Florida. That's, I bet, how they got a hold of that 14-year-old boy. Then you have Sewertown. Corey Daniel, a.k.a. Phoenix Enigma. Alicia Ray, a.k.a. the Sicilian Witch. Jesse Davis, Paula Davis, both of which have these weird fetish porn businesses. They make coloring books for pedophiles. They also own this barely legal porn production thing that their friend Tara Joyce, not my rabbit hole Tara Joyce, is heavily invested in. Daniel Dowd, fucking brags about meeting minors online. Geo Farnsworth, Brett Trimble, Craig Sawyer. This is the group that was all involved with killing Isaac Cappy. No, Daniel, I'm not. Keep your dick out of little boys' asses. That's all my suggestion is for you. Being a pedophile isn't the powerhouse you think it is. Ask for me to name names and then go and try and criticize. And I bet you don't. You either don't know who I'm talking about or you do know who I'm talking about and you're just here to actually try and protect them. Flat out. But again, you pedophiles don't have anything to worry about, at least in America. They're not investigating this pedophilia shit. They like it. They're defending it. They're sending us into World War III to protect it. You know? So, with that said, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. This has been a great live.